Okay, have you ever found an old piece of silver? Maybe a forgotten spoon or some dusty old candelabra, and just wondered, what stories could this thing tell? Well, today we're diving right into the Silverzz Restoration Handbook. We're going to unlock all the secrets to bringing that tarnished piece of history back to its brilliant, shining glory.
You see, every single piece of old silver, doesn't matter if it's a family heirloom or something you picked up at a flea market, it has a history. And that dark layer of tarnish, that's not just dirt. Think of it like a veil covering up its past. So in this explainer, we're going to learn exactly how to pull that veil back and let its story really shine.
All right, here's our game plan for today. We're going to walk through 5 key steps. First, uncovering the silver itself. Then, getting our restoration toolkit together. We'll dive into the cleaning process, nail that final polish, and wrap up with how to preserve that incredible shine. Simple as that. Let's get right to it.
Okay, so first things first. Before you even think about grabbing a polishing cloth, the very first step is to figure out what you're up against. We need to identify the challenge and really understand what we're working with here.
So what is tarnish, really? I mean, it's not just dirt you can just wipe off. Nope. It's actually a chemical reaction. You see, the silver is reacting with sulfur that's just floating around in the air, and that creates this dark layer. Now, why does that matter? Well, because it means we're not just cleaning. We're actually reversing a chemical process. Pretty cool, right?
But hold on a second. Before we go any further, how do you know if you're even dealing with real silver? The handbook gives us 3 super simple checks. First, look for those little stamps or hallmarks. Things like 925 or sterling. Second, check for any peeling or flaking. If you see that, it's a dead giveaway that it's just silver-plated. And here's the really cool tip. Grab a magnet. Solid silver is not magnetic, so if that magnet sticks, you've got a plated piece.
Okay, so we've confirmed we're working with the real deal. Now it's time to gather our supplies. Honestly, having the right toolkit makes all the difference. It's what's going to make this whole process go smoothly and, most importantly, keep your piece safe.
So here it is, the essential toolkit, straight from the handbook. And if you notice, there's a theme here. Gentle. We're talking soft cloths, non-abrasive polish. Everything is about lifting that tarnish without scratching the beautiful silver underneath. Oh, and the gloves? Absolutely crucial. Yeah, they protect your hands. But just as important, they stop the oils from your skin getting on the freshly cleaned silver.
All right, toolkit is assembled. This is it. This is where the real transformation begins, the cleaning process. Let's break down the handbook's step-by-step method for bringing that amazing shine back to life. So, the handbook breaks it down into a super simple 4-step process. First, a gentle wash. Then, you apply the polish. Next comes the patient buff, and that's the key word, patient. And finally, a good rinse and dry. And trust me, following these steps in order, that's the secret to getting a perfect finish every time.
Now, picking the right polish, this is actually a really critical step. Think of it this way. If you've got really heavy tarnish or a piece with lots of little details, a paste or a cream is going to be your best friend. It gives you way more control. But if you're just dealing with light tarnish on a big, flat surface, like a serving tray, a liquid polish will get the job done faster and is usually a bit gentler.
This might be my favorite piece of advice from the entire handbook. Work in small circular motions. Let the polish do the work, not your muscles. It's just such a perfect reminder that this is not about scrubbing as hard as you can. No way. It's all about gentle, circular motions and just being patient enough to let the polish do its job and dissolve the tarnish. That is how you get amazing results without scratching the heck out of your beautiful piece.
All right, the tarnish is gone, the piece is clean, but the job isn't over yet. Now we get to move on to what is honestly the most satisfying step of all, the final polish. This is where we reveal that deep, incredible, radiant shine.
And there it is, the big reveal. This is that wow moment. This is where all that careful, patient work totally pays off, and you finally get to see the true character of the piece just shining through.
Okay, so the final buffing is a totally different technique than the cleaning part. You need a clean, soft, dry cloth, and instead of small circles, you're going to use long, even strokes. That's what gives you that almost mirror-like finish. And hey, here's a pro tip for you. As you're buffing, keep turning the cloth to a fresh, clean section. That way, you're actually polishing, not just smudging any leftover residue around.
Okay, that shine is absolutely incredible, right? So the big question is, how do we keep it that way? Well, this final section of the handbook is all about the long-term care you need to preserve that beautiful finish.
Look, following these simple tips is what turns this from a one-time project into something that lasts for generations. Proper storage is huge. Flannel bags are amazing for this. And here's a really interesting tip. It's almost counterintuitive. Using or handling your silver regularly can actually help. The oils from your skin can act as a natural barrier that slows down new tarnish from forming. How about that?
So why is proper storage so critical? It really comes down to this number, 6, as in 6 months. In just a typical home environment, that's how quickly a noticeable amount of tarnish can start to creep back in if you're not storing it right. So yeah, this last step isn't just a friendly suggestion, it's what protects all the hard work you just put in.
So when you boil it all down, the big takeaway here is that restoring silver is, well, it's so much more than just cleaning a piece of metal, isn't it? It's really about being a caretaker of history. You're preserving beauty. You're kind of like an archaeologist for your own family's treasures. You have the guide, you have the know-how, so the only question left is, what piece of history are you going to bring back to light?